Hello, hello. Welcome to my weekly edition of Facebook Live. The theme this month is going to be focused around veterans. We just had Memorial Day. So I thought that would be a perfect transition into the month of June to focus all about veterans. Also, side note, and probably completely unrelated, I just got a designation with the National Association of Mortgage Brokers called the Certified Veteran Lending Specialist. So I am your certified veteran lending specialist. I am specializing in all things veterans loan and VA loans. So this month is all going to be about veterans, active duty, reservists, National Guard, you name it. We're going to have a ton of different opportunities, a ton of different conversations with people about how veterans can utilize services. So I'm very pumped, very excited. I'm hoping to end the month with instead of doing a live, I'm hoping that the very last meeting will be a video that I post talking about the VA loans and the different ways you can utilize them and how you can get offers accepted in the seller's market and all of that kind of fun stuff. So without further ado, joining me today is none other than Tyler Otto with First Command Financial. Hello, Tyler.
Top of the morning, BK. Good to be here.
Thank you. Glad that you're here. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this, and then you have to answer my very famous question, which is you have to tell us something not a lot of people know about you.
Well, I'm originally from Nebraska, and I moved out here to Denver about 22 years ago, and I've been involved with First Command, the broker dealer that I work with for almost 8 years now, and it's been a pleasure to work with all of the military members and the veterans and the retirees, and all of the civilian clients I have as well. And let's see here. Something that not many people know about me is that I suppose that I'm a third generation financial advisor. My grandfather did this. My dad still does this. My little brother does this. And so a lot of the men in the Otto family are
Nice.
able to escape our destiny as financial advisors.
I was going to say it runs in your blood. It's in your genes to be a financial advisor.
It seems to. Yeah, it seems to.
Awesome.
And I'm happy about that.
Awesome. Well, let's kind of dive into this today. My first question is kind of a big one, and it'll probably take up most of the time if I'm being honest with you. But what would you say is the biggest challenge for vets or people active in the military regarding their finances?
It's a really good question. There are many, but I would say the biggest is the fact that they've all been a part of a brand new retirement system that hasn't changed for a long time, and just in the last handful of years, they've been asked to bear more of the weight of their own prospective retirement if they are to stay in the service throughout retirement. They take as much as a 20% cut in their pension benefit. But there's also other opportunities within that, and that they are able to take advantage of the blended retirement system and, get a match from the government into TSP, which is kind of like the military's 401k, and be able to contribute that and have maybe a little bit more control over how that's invested and where it's invested, as well as a opportunity to get a little bonus kind of along the midpoint of their career for continued enlistment or continued service. And there's a number of others. They have a lot of challenges with finances as far as the financial quotient of their prospects for advancement and getting security clearances and really just being squared away in general. And we use that term squared away to talk about members of our client community whose finances are squared away, not unlike a really squared away soldier or sailor or airman or Marine, in the context of if you're really squared away, you've got got your game together. You've got your career in good hands. You've got your foot locker looking good. Your uniform's looking right. Your unit is locked down, and they know what to do, and you're an effective leader. So from that standpoint, we'd like them to have that same confidence about the trajectory of their finances in terms of where they're going, knowing what their plan is and how they're going to get there.
So that's interesting. So, and I've heard this a couple of times, but if I was in the military, my advancement capabilities within the military would be somewhat based on my financial standing. The more financially sound I was, the less debts I had, the more I had in savings, the more opportunity I would have to move up within the military. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, you're pretty close. There's certainly a lot of jobs in the military that will require some level of a security clearance, depending upon what your history is, and not the least of which is your credit history, and they're looking for things that might put you at risk, and one of those would be large swaths of debt. Certainly unsecured debt that seem to be a heavy burden for any of our troops to carry along with their families, and it can put you at risk of not being able to get that promotion or be a part of that unit or hold that clearance.
So one question that just popped up in chat then was, what does First Command do to help with that side of things? I mean, what specifically can you do to help somebody advance in their career on the financial side? What tools do you have at your disposal to help somebody like that?
We have a lot of tools at our disposal, and probably the most important one of them, the biggest tool, is having a financial plan that helps them get started as early as possible in their career to begin to build financial strength and a strong financial foundation that will be one that they can build upon throughout not only their career in the military, but beyond the military, maybe in a second career that comes after they either separate or retire. But when they leave the military by either separation or retirement or otherwise, they have a really strong financial foundation, one that they have spent a long time building and putting together through discipline and following a plan and updating that plan when things change in their life, whether it's family changes or duty station changes or occupational changes, to update a financial plan and keep it rolling forward and contribute aggressively to it. And they can have real command over what the career track that they might take looks like. Certainly a lot more control than if you didn't have a financial plan or you didn't have a really strong financial foundation, because you could find yourself not in control of that aspect of your career.
I loved your little pun there. I don't know if you intended it, but to be in command of and you work for First Command, that made me chuckle.
Yeah, it's probably often confused. Our moniker First Command is often confused with a part of the government. We're a privately held company. In fact, we're employee owned, and so
nice.
I like that about First Command, and we've been doing this for over 60 years now. So the genesis of the company is really from very humble beginnings and really just a fundamental mission for helping our clients who for a very long time were exclusively military towards financial security.
Awesome. That kind of leads me perfectly into my next question for you, which is, I'm not going to mention any names, but there are a lot of other companies that do similar to what you do for veterans. So what separates First Command from those other alternatives out there? What would you say kind of makes you guys a little bit more unique?
Well, we're the only one that's left that is keenly interested on helping military families with financial planning and investing. There are others that focus on, ensuring members of the military, maybe some banking. But we are certainly the only one that does the broad aspects of financial planning under all stages of their career and helping them to where they want to go. We are the last company that is really in that space, doing all of those things, and I'm really proud of that. And that's a big reason why I came here, is because I know that by doing those things, I can really help a lot of people who are members of the military community, and certainly through providing financial strength for them. It just gives them all the more ability to focus on what their mission is, whether that be, flying a fighter aircraft, or being a part of, the space garrison out here at Buckley Air Force Base, or being a part of an infantry unit. It allows them to focus on the mission, and that demands an incredible amount of their focus. So much so that it can be very difficult for them to take time for themselves, focus on themselves and their family, and do the things that they need to throughout their career at the times they need to get where they need to go. So I'm really proud that First Command does that, and I'd really like to think that more companies would be interested in it, but others have tried and have failed to do that. But I'm really, really happy that First Command is still leading that charge.
Fantastic. So one final question for you. If you had one thing that you could pick that is the most common mistake made for people that you work with, what would you say is the one thing that most people need to know so that they don't make the same mistake?
I would say there's certainly a few of them, but one thing is how TSP, which is the Thrift Savings Program, and it's offered to not only members of the military, but also to government employees can take part in it. And a lot of them, they don't know how to effectively use it. A lot of them don't end up getting the match because they don't put in their contribution. So they don't get the government's match because they don't make their full contribution. Some of them don't know how to go into the tool and allocate their contributions towards various investments, or how to configure their contributions, whether it's to the traditional side or the Roth TSP, because they can make an after-tax contribution that goes into the Roth. So just really, I would say, generally speaking, not using TSP effectively. And because so much more of their retirement burden has been placed on them, it's more important than ever that they use TSP effectively. And that is certainly one of the areas that I make sure to talk with each of them, is how their benefits do work and how they don't work, what they can provide, and what they are unable to provide or limited in, and what luxuries they have to be able to invest outside of TSP, within TSP, and make sure that they understand what their options are, so that they're taking as much control over their future as possible.
I love that. So another question that I had, I know I told you the last one was the last one, but this is probably the last one for sure. Sure. So I know with a 401k, somebody is, again, talk to your tax advisor. I'm not giving financial or tax advice. However, oftentimes people can use a withdrawal from their from their 401k. Does that to buy a home? Does that also translate to the TSP? Is that a similar kind of law, and how does that work?
Yeah, you can take a loan from your TSP for certain things, and under certain circumstances, but it's considered a loan from your own account, and it's expected to be paid back. And as you pay that back, there's usually a payment that is coming back out of your your payroll through your LES statement, and you'll see it if you've got one. But the way it works is pretty similar to a lot of 401ks. There's really a set of rules that are within TSP, and they're fairly rigid. They're set up for everybody the same way, but they outline the circumstances that you can borrow from your TSP account, under what circumstances you can make a full withdrawal from TSP, and the tax consequences for doing so before you're 59 and a half. And they really just outline how you take part in it. And if you have a 401k, for example, at your work, BK, it would be very similar in that your 401k would have a set of bylaws effectively to govern how you can both contribute to, withdraw from, take a loan from your contributions in your account value, and what the tax consequences are for not only the contributions that you've made, but the matches that you've gotten from your employer versus the growth that you've had in the account, and the earnings that you've generated, and what age that comes at, under what circumstances. There's a lot of moving parts. So without going into a whole lot of detail, because there is a lot of detail, there's a lot to know before you go to take a loan from your TSP about how it all works and how it's going to be paid back. And if any of the viewers that are out there right now are watching and are curious how that works for their own individual circumstances, I encourage them to reach out to me or any of my other peers at First Command, wherever they might be stationed, and get smart on that before you do take a loan out.
Perfect. I love that. So I know it's been scrolling at the bottom here, but for the audio listeners, where, if somebody did want to ask you a question, how can they get a hold of you? Your email address, your phone number, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it looks like you've got all my main contact information down there. I happen to work in the Southeast Denver area, and I have clients as far west as Grand Junction and really all over the state. We have a couple other offices in Colorado Springs, and that's such a large military market for us that we have a whole district down there just dedicated to that one city. And the district that I work in covers Colorado, Wyoming, and South Dakota, and so I am everywhere but the Springs. And I generally am located here in Aurora, just off South Parker Road and Dartmouth, in the south tower of the Twin Tower Aurora Marketplace complex. So we are here close to the Buckley Air Force Base community out here in East Aurora, and Buckley has a pretty big special role to play in this community, because space is Colorado. Buckley was, for a time, being considered to be the future headquarters of Space Command. It didn't work out like that, but it certainly has one of the most important missions in the new Space Command in terms of missile warning and the persistent overhead infrared sensors that they employ and keep us all safe with. So love working with the troops out at Buckley Air Force Base. It's a great pleasure. We are able to meet you where you're at, not only from the context of wherever you are in your finances and whether you come to us with a certain amount of debt, or you even had a certain amount of financial success already. we're ready to meet you right where you're at, whether you're early in your career, at the tail end of your career, you're retiring, you've already retired, you're a veteran, separated, retired, active duty, guardsman, reservist. We understand what that entire career life cycle works like, and we understand how those benefits work, and can give you some really solid guidance on how to make the most of them, and how to position you and your family for the most financial security possible as you traverse your career.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time, Tyler. Ton of good information.
You're welcome.
I learned a ton, and I appreciate it. And if anybody is interested in contacting Tyler, feel free to type your information into the comment section below on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever it is that you're interested in. And again, thank you so much, Tyler. I look forward to learning a little bit more as we progress in our friendship and relationship in the future too.
Absolutely, BK. I'm really glad to have been a part of your Facebook Live podcast here today. And I would definitely encourage those within earshot of my voice and that are watching this podcast to reach out to you as well, because one of the best benefits that they have as members of the military comes with the VA loan. The VA loan is one of probably the most powerful tools they have to begin building some net worth, and they have a tendency to migrate. At least the ones on active duty can migrate from one city to the next, and so to understand how to use the VA benefits from the VA loan effectively is a really important thing. And that certified veterans lending specialist is the type of guy you want to know if you've got a home that you want to list, or one that is where you're looking to acquire a new property, whether it's a condo or apartment or home, single family, attached, or whatever you might be looking for. The VA loan is a really effective tool used by so many of my clients to great effect.
Awesome. Fantastic, sir. Well, thank you so much. And to the rest of you, if you know anybody who's looking to purchase or refinance, especially if they want to use a VA loan, send them my way. I'm happy to take care of them. If you know any services that, if you're a veteran and you have a service that you definitely want me to interview to let other veterans know that this exists, leave them in the comments below so that I can interview them for the coming weeks and months. And with that, thank you so much, everybody, and take care.
All the best to you. Thank you, BK.
Thank you.